The Middle East has long been a battleground of hidden rivalries, none more intense than the shadow war between Israel and Iran. For years, this conflict simmered beneath the surface, fought through proxies, cyber attacks, and covert strikes, with both sides careful to avoid open confrontation. But now, the rules have changed. The threats are no longer whispered, they're broadcast for the world to hear. Israel and Iran are stepping out of the shadows, and the stakes have never been higher. This isn't just another flare-up, this is a turning point. The language is direct, targeting not just military assets but the very heart of leadership. When a nation publicly threatens another supreme leader, it signals a new, dangerous phase. The world is watching because this conflict could destabilize the entire region and beyond. Years of escalating proxy battles, sabotage, and attacks have brought us to the brink. The ambiguity that once allowed both sides to avoid all-out war is gone. Now animosity is raw and public, raising the risk of a devastating chain reaction. The question is no longer if, but when, this standoff will explode. National pride and personal threats make backing down nearly impossible. The old playbook is gone and the future of the Middle East hangs in the balance. The next move could change everything. The fragile status quo shattered with a single, unmistakable message. A high-ranking Israeli official publicly warned Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, that continued aggression would bring the war to Tehran itself. This was no veiled threat. It was a direct challenge, unprecedented in the history of their rivalry. For years, Israel's strikes targeted Iranian proxies in Syria and Lebanon, always framed as defensive and contained. Now, Israel is signaling it's willing to strike at the very top. Intelligence leaks made it clear. Israel knows where to hit and it's ready to do so. The message was calculated, deterrence through transparency and capability. But by personalizing the threat, Israel risks backing Iran into a corner. For Tehran, a public threat to the supreme leader demands a response. Instead of de-escalation, the stakes have been raised. Iran's regime cannot ignore such a challenge without appearing weak. The world waits, knowing the fuse has been lit. What comes next could reshape the region. The warning has been delivered. Now, all eyes are on Tehran. This escalation didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of months of tit-for-tat attacks and military posturing. Iran has unleashed waves of advanced drone strikes, targeting Israeli interests and key infrastructure across the region. Meanwhile, mysterious explosions and assassinations have rocked Iran's nuclear and missile programs, widely attributed to Israeli intelligence. Each side is proving its reach and resolve. Iran's military drills in the Persian Gulf and Indian Ocean showcase new missiles and drone swarms, sending a clear warning to Israel and the US. These are not just exercises, they're strategic messages. Israel has responded with its own massive drills, simulating long-range strikes deep inside Iran. The Israeli Air Force is practicing for scenarios that leave no doubt about their intended target. This cycle of action and reaction is pushing both nations closer to open war. Every move is met with a counter-move, deepening the divide. The shadow war is now a public contest of strength. The risk of miscalculation grows with every provocation. The region stands on a knife's edge. The threat of a regional war is no longer hypothetical, it's a looming reality. If Israel strikes inside Iran, retaliation will be swift and widespread. Iran's proxies, Hezbollah, militias in Syria and Iraq, and the Houthis could unleash attacks on multiple fronts. Israeli cities could face unprecedented barrages of rockets and missiles. US forces in the region would be at risk, potentially drawing America into the conflict. The Houthis could target shipping in the Red Sea, threatening global trade. The nightmare scenario, a multi-front war stretching from the Mediterranean to the Persian Gulf. Civilian casualties and regional instability would soar. Iran could close the Strait of Hormuz, sending oil prices skyrocketing and shaking the global economy. The world's interconnectedness means no one is immune from the fallout. The US and its allies would face immense pressure to intervene. Russia and China, aligned with Iran, could complicate the crisis further. What starts as a clash between two nations could spiral into a global confrontation. The world holds its breath, hoping for restraint. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, responded with defiance. In a televised speech, he dismissed Israel's threats as desperate and vowed a crushing response to any attack. Khamenei's message was clear: Iran will not be intimidated. For his supporters, it was a rallying cry, proof that Iran stands strong against its enemies. He framed Iran as a victim, not an aggressor, and promised any aggression would be met with overwhelming force. To regional allies and proxies, Khamenei reaffirmed Iran's commitment to the axis of resistance. Groups like Hezbollah and the Houthis were urged to stand firm, knowing Tehran has their back. The speech unified Iran's public and military, framing the conflict as a righteous struggle. By responding so publicly, Khamenei raised the stakes, making de-escalation harder for both sides. The confrontation is now a personal test of will between leaders. National honor and credibility are on the line. The world watches as the rhetoric hardens. The risk of miscalculation has never been higher. The world's alarm is growing as the war of words intensifies. The UN Secretary General has called for urgent de-escalation, warning of catastrophic humanitarian consequences. The United States, Israel's closest ally, is caught in a bind, publicly supporting Israel while privately urging restraint. Washington knows a full-scale war would drag America in, risking lives and derailing global priorities. European powers echo the call for calm, fearing war would end any hope for diplomacy and trigger a nuclear arms race. Europe also dreads the economic fallout, soaring energy prices and new waves of refugees. Russia and China, aligned with Iran, criticize Western actions and call for restraint, but use the crisis to advance their own interests. The conflict exposes deep geopolitical fault lines. This is no longer just a regional crisis, it's a flashpoint for global superpowers. Diplomatic solutions grow more elusive as tensions rise. The risk of escalation is real, and the consequences would be felt worldwide. The world's leaders are running out of time to prevent disaster. The stakes could not be higher. The Middle East stands at a crossroads. One path leads to fragile peace, the other to catastrophic war. The next moves by leaders in Jerusalem and Tehran will decide the region's fate. Will they heed global calls for restraint, or will the cycle of provocation spiral out of control? The logic of escalation is powerful, and backing down is difficult. The coming days are critical. Will rhetoric cool, or will another attack push the region over the edge? Public red lines are hard to erase, and both sides' credibility is at stake. The old rules are gone. We're in uncharted territory. A single miscalculation could ignite the entire region. Mechanisms for de-escalation are weak, and moderation is drowned out by the drums of war. Can these adversaries find a way to step back without losing face? Or are we witnessing the prelude to a conflict that will reshape the Middle East for generations? The world waits, hoping for wisdom to prevail. The next move will echo far beyond Israel and Iran.